Good afternoon. We'll call the February 27th, 2025 Diversion Authority Board meeting to order. First item is we'll have a roll call of the members.
Mayor Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Dardis.
Here.
Mayor Mahoney. Mr. Brightling. Mr. Brightling.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Here.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Here.
Mr. Ebbinger.
Here.
Ms. Kolpak.
Here.
Mr. Campbell.
Here.
Mr. Capitan.
Here.
Mr. Grimberg.
Here.
Mr. Steen.
Here.
And Ms. Borgen.
Here.
And everyone is in house today.
Next, we'll look for a discussion or a motion to approve the minutes from January 23rd.
Move, Chuck.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Same sign. Motion carries. Next, I would entertain a motion on the order of the agenda with the removal of 9B. Yesterday at the Lands Committee, this item was tabled till next month, so I'd be looking for a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Next, look for a roll call vote on consent agenda. And a motion first, please.
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Don, please take the roll.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Brightling.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Yes.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Ebbinger.
Yes.
Ms. Kolpak.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
And Ms. Borgen.
Yes.
That is everyone.
Thank you. Moving to the regular agenda, item 5, Executive Director Update. Mr. Jason Benson for information. First official Executive Director Update. Welcome, Jason.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So a couple of quick updates. In the last month, it has moved by very fast for me as I've been in a lot of meetings and getting to know the staff, the processes, all those different things. And then, of course, a couple trips. First down to St. Paul with the Moorhead and Clay County delegation. Had a great trip and interaction with our local representatives and senators down in St. Paul towards getting additional funding for the Minnesota projects. And then a trip last week out to Bismarck and had the opportunity to meet with our new director of water resources out in Bismarck, as well as some discussions at the local government day in Bismarck with a number of senators. So a great way to kick off my first month. And then I don't know if Jody Smith was able to join us today, but I did want to, last month we transitioned. It was her last day. We had some discussions on the new contract, and we moved forward with that. But I wanted to personally thank her for her 3 years of service to the Diversion Authority as a diversion employee. Under her watch, all property rights that are constructed under the construction footprint have been acquired, and nearly 60% of the overall property rights, including flowage easements, have been attained in the upstream mitigation areas. So a huge lift by Jody and the team, and again, just want to professionally thank her for that effort. That's my update.
Questions for Jason?
No, I just wanted to mention, Chair Grinberg, that we appreciated that you came down to St. Paul as well.
I learned a lot. There's a distinct difference between the North Dakota legislature and the Minnesota legislature. And I was surprised how open Minnesota is, given the world we live in today, that you can walk into the Capitol without being screened. I mean, that was really a telling sign of how open Minnesota government is, obviously, but I learned a lot of things.
All right, thank you.
All right, item 6. Thank you, Mayor Carlson. General Counsel update, Mr. Shockley.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Diversion Authority Board. Before you, the first item I have is a motion to repeal the prior detention funding policy manual from 2015. Those of you who were back on the Diversion Authority in 2015 may remember that prior to the settlement agreement, the authority had put together a detention policy for potential funding of projects to reduce the overall potential flooding within the watershed that feeds into the Fargo-Moorhead area. Subsequently, in 2021, most of the board members will recall that the Diversion Authority entered into a settlement agreement with the Upstream Coalition, Wilkin, Richland County JPA, City of Comstock, Buffalo Red Watershed District. And in that settlement agreement set forth a different type of a policy regarding detention projects, in that the detention project had to show a reduction in frequency or the height of water within the UMA storage area. The policy that the parties agreed to was that those detention policies should actually show some type of meaningful reduction in the potential impacts within the storage area. This is a housekeeping item. This is repealing the prior 2015 detention policy, which is out of date. The new policy essentially would follow what's in the settlement agreement, which is what the board has already agreed to, and then any future detention projects would need to be funded by the Diversion Authority pursuant to an agreement that this board would first enter into to negotiate with, and your maximum cost share on those projects would be 50% of the costs not otherwise paid by the federal government or the state government or other local grants. And there's nothing requiring this board to enter into those agreements. It's just stating that you would evaluate those future projects to show that they'd actually have meaningful impacts regarding frequency or duration or depth within the UMA storage area. So happy to answer any questions. From a technical standpoint, I'd probably have to defer to Chris Bockyguard, but.
Questions for Mr. Shockley? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion as outlined in 6A.
I'd so move.
Is there a second? Moved and seconded. Commissioner Breitling seconded. Discussion? Hearing none. Donald, please take the roll.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney.
Yes.
Mr. Brightling.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Ebinger.
Yes.
Ms. Kolpak.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Capitan.
Yes.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
And Ms. Borgen.
Yes.
That is everyone.
6B,
Thank you, Mr. Chair. 6B is an update regarding the technical dispute resolution board created under the project agreement. Just wanted to update the entire board that all three members of the technical dispute review board had tendered their resignations. They were not required to under their agreement for the arbitration panel to provide the rationale for their resignations. So the next step under the project agreement is that we are attempting to reconstitute that board. We're working with the developer. They're seeking out as you'll recall, they get to pick one member, we pick one member, and then like most other traditional arbitration panels, the two wings will pick the chair. They may have found a potential person that is willing to serve. We have interviewed a couple people, and they have been unwilling to serve because of the requirement that it be conducted in accordance with the North Dakota Open Meetings Law. So we'll continue to try to develop a pool of people that could potentially serve in that position. But I want to just give an update of where we're at with the Technical Dispute Review Board.
questions for John? Thank you. Next, 7A, Army Corps update. Terry Williams, are you on the line?
Good afternoon, Chair Grinberg and board members. I'm pleased to provide the Corps' brief monthly update for February. There's not a lot of construction to report on given most of our contractors are still in winter shutdown. But at the Red River structure, there's still activity going on. And as shown on this month's flyover, Ames is they're completing the assembly of the third and last gate in preparation of raising that gate shortly. And we're still anticipating the rerouting of the Red River through the structure in July. I'm going to go all the way down to our FY contract awards. I have good news. We've awarded 2 more contracts since we last talked a month ago. For Reach SC5, that's our final Southern Embankment reach. We awarded that on 30 January to a firm called BCSS LLC out of Tempe, Arizona for about $10.1 million. Our independent government estimate for that reach was about $10.3 million. And then we very recently awarded our second forest mitigation contract. That was awarded on 24 February to DJM Ecological Services for about $1.23 million, and that's the same contractor that got our first forest mitigation contract. So looking forward to working with them again. And that ends my update unless there's any questions.
Questions? Thank you, Terry.
Thank you.
Next 2 items are Mr. Bockyard.
Thank you, Chair Grimberg. Diversion Authority Board, just a quick update on construction progress for the diversion channel. Again, channel construction has continued through the winter, as you'll see in the drone video. They have been operating during our bitter cold snap. A little less production than normal, but certainly we're still making progress. We're nearing about 33 million cubic yards of material that's been moved on the project. Their channel reaches are focused in the southern reaches, 9 through 14, so mostly south of interstate. They've been doing some cleanup work in the northern reaches, preparing those for completion as well. Terry gave a good update on the Red River structure, and then on the crossings, there's been limited work, but maybe Peggy, if you go to the next screen, we are anticipating quite a bit of progress this coming year on the bridges. So Tom and a few of our folks put this chart together to kind of track where we are with all the different crossings, intending to give you guys monthly update, because I think we'll have a pretty steady stream of work being completed and roads being opened, which is certainly an objective of ours, but just wanted to keep you guys apprised of kind of where those all sit. So as you see on this chart, it matches the previous slide. We have 2 bridges that are open to traffic, County Road 431, County Road 32. With the warmer weather this last week, they're beginning to remobilize into those areas and continuing to work on structures. So anticipating in the next 4 to 6 weeks, if the weather stays more spring-like than more winter-like, we'll continue to make progress and continue some of these bridges closer to being complete. So with that, I stand for any questions related to the construction update.
Questions? Just a comment, that's a great slide.
Thank you, Chair Grimberg. On the safety side, another good clean month. The one recordable event was a slip and fall, a fairly minor incident, but slipped on some ice and had a minor medical that needed to be treated. And with that, then the rest of them were just a summary of the totals going on. No recordables with authority projects or the city-led projects, as those are fairly quiet right now. So with that, I stand for any questions related to the safety update as well.
Questions? Thank you, Chris.
Thank you.
7D, Mr. Barthel.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee. Just a brief overview this month of the commercial aspects of the P3 that have been ongoing. As Chris described, construction has taken a little bit slower turn, but the commercial side has continued to push on. As you see there, there are still three items that have been referred to the Technical Dispute Review Board. Those are basically on hold until we get the board reestablished, as Mr. Shockley was explaining. At the end of, there's also been a number of compensation events. 32 have been submitted, and we have 2 relief events. Those are summarized in the packet, and we're working through the majority, have worked through the majority of those, but continue to work with the developer on those. The other thing is that there have been change requests. As part of the P3 contract, either side can bring a change request to modify the contract or add or subtract things from the contract. To date, the authority has initiated 23 change requests with 2 pending, and there are 12 that have been agreed to. Those with an additional cost to the authority of about $7.5 million. And so the 3 of those were withdrawn and 6 are still pending negotiation. And then the developer has submitted 55 change requests through the end of the reporting period. 34 have been agreed to, and again, a change totaling of about $3.7 million for those 34 different requests. 1 is still in pending negotiation, and so the summary of all of those can be found in the appendices of the report. So happy to answer any questions, or if you see something in the report of those ACRs, DCRs, and compensation of events that are enclosed in the attachments, please let me know. I'd be happy to discuss them further with you. So.
Questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
This month's extreme cold has slowed work on some sites, but excavation keeps moving along the channel. I'm Tom Fuchs, Senior Construction Manager with the Metro Flood Diversion Authority, with the February construction update. At the Red River structure, crews have been busy assembling the last gate, including welding skin plates, girders, and bracing inside a temporary heated shelter in Bay Number 3. Ames Construction has now removed the roof of the temporary shelter in preparation for lifting the gate into its final position. This will mark a huge milestone, with the last of all 8 gates across the 3 control structures being installed. Ames also began driving piling for portions of the structure's upstream approach apron, and they have been getting concrete work done whenever the weather allows, placing it on the east and west floodwalls and piers. ASN constructors also continued piling and concrete work in the past month at numerous sites along the stormwater diversion channel. West of Horace, North Dakota, at the County Road 6 crossing, concrete substructure work is underway at the bridge abutments and piers. Just south, at the County Road 14 crossing, crews wrapped up the bridge piling and concrete substructure work has now begun. The County Road 14 bridge is the last of the 16 roadway crossings to complete driven H-pile foundations. The crossings will all span the 30-mile stormwater diversion channel, where excavation work has recently been concentrated in Reach 12, which is west of Horace, North Dakota. To date, nearly 33 million cubic yards of the necessary 45 million cubic yards of material have been moved for the channel. That's enough to fill the North Dakota Capitol building 409 times. Our last stop on this month's tour is the Cheyenne River Aqueduct, which is also near Horace, North Dakota. Despite the frigid temperatures, crews have continued working to construct portions of the base or foundation of the flume and conduit structure. Our footage shows final preparations prior to concrete placement, which is expected in the coming days. Get regular updates on all things related to the FM area diversion by following the project on social media.
Communications update. Amy.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair and members of the board. We had a busy month for media relations. Our construction update news release continues to get coverage in different media outlets. We also sent out a release welcoming Jason and had a media availability that resulted in several interviews. We got calls resulting from the federal funding freeze, even though it was short-lived. There was a lot of interest in that and whether there would be any impact to the diversion by the tariffs. And following our meetings, we had some local coverage regarding the DRB resignations and Jody's contract. It's been pretty quiet for events lately, but Tom Fuchs spoke at the North Dakota Association of County Engineers Conference, and that went very well. And our last newsletter focused on some of the structure moving that's taking place when lands have been acquired. And John Schmidt spoke quite a bit about how he's really focused on recycling those structures, both for the emotional impact that it's having on the homeowners, but also to keep it out of the landfill. And that was well received again with some very nice open and click rates. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Commissioner Kolpak?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, land management. Jody.
Yes, Chairman Gridberg and members of the board. The first slide is, again, our usual slide that we're used to looking at. There hasn't been significant change, so I won't take too much time, but just as a reminder, on that right-hand side, everything that's highlighted green means we've acquired the necessary property right. Everything in blue means we're in active negotiation. Orange means we've filed eminent domain, and the gold color that you're only kind of seeing at that lower end tip means we are waiting for the appraisals to be approved. On the next slide, then, you can see for the construction footprint, really we're complete in acquiring that. We have a couple of MOUs that we need to shore up, but all of the land has been acquired for the construction footprint. In the UMA, we are sitting at nearly that 60% that Mr. Benson mentioned before. I'm going to skip to the key activities, Peggy, if you want to keep going through. As always noted, we continue to negotiate with property owners while we're in the eminent domain action. I do have 3 mediations scheduled for the next month. One of them will be tomorrow in Fargo, and then 2 in March, and those will be occurring on Saturdays. So a huge thank you to Chris McSheen, who's willing to give up a Saturday to come in and work through some of those. Mr. Alland and his associates have also asked for some additional mediation dates, and he actually has asked for some mediation dates for specific property owners. So we'll be working over the next week or so to start scheduling those out either in March or April. In the last month, we have closed on 2 parcels with 2 property owners in the UMA. We're also completing the appraisal reports for the Christine area flowage easements and the forest mobility improvements. Those forest mobility improvements are part of the MOU with them. And so Mr. Dodds has been working actively with one of our land agents, Mr. Helvey, to acquire those property rights. We are going through the excess lands process. I know there was a lands committee yesterday, so thank you to Mr. Dodds for being able to attend that while I was at different meetings with the states. But you can see we do have almost 700 acres that have been approved for excess lands. We're actively pushing the majority of those going through the policy right now. So I do have to, huge gratitude to Sabrina and Eric. The excess lands process is fairly laborious and is a fairly heavy lift in the background. So to get all those out there, get all the notifications to the various member entities and property owners is quite a bit of work. So we are finalizing those farmland leases for 2025. And then just a reminder that we do have vacate dates for the occupied structures in Minnesota and Clay County of April 1st, and then Wilkin County for June 1st. The next slide then is just a land agent report. This is something we started to do with both the MCC JPA and the Cass County Joint Board. Instead of having our land agents present at all the board meetings, we just give them this written update, but it just allows you to understand that we do still have our active contracts with those land agents for all the reasons that are listed before you. So I do stand for any questions.
Commissioner Pepcorn.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, I just have a quick question. I saw in the paper where some of the people going through eminent domain filed a lawsuit or something, or are suing us or whatever. My question is, and maybe it's for the attorney too, but will that delay or is that anticipated, or what will be the impact be? Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Shockley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Commissioner Pepcorn, those are ongoing litigation matters, and Cass County Joint Water Resource District is the condemning authority. Cass County Joint Water Resource District had filed an eminent domain proceeding. As part of that, the whole purpose is to determine the valuation of the property. The landowners filed a motion regarding inverse condemnation, which relates to the value of the property, which is the whole purpose of the underlying case. And so in talking with our litigation team, it's part and parcel of the litigation process and motions. And so substantively, we don't believe that it will delay the process. It just goes to the overall discussion of valuation.
That's great. Thank you.
Other questions? Mayor Dardis, Finance Report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Finance Committee met yesterday. We approved bills of $2,809,184 that were presented for this last reporting session. We have our net cash position is $321,945,635. In addition to that, the items in your consent agenda, with the exception of the land access stuff, was all processed through the Finance Committee. There's an item that's also listed with regard to sales tax collections, and I would remind everyone that we used basically the same numbers as last year, about $66 million, and our projections are at a 2% growth on our sales tax. I will also like to remind the board that we'll be doing some very close monitoring this year with regarding to the revenues coming in, as well as expenditures, as our milestone payments to the developer in our budget for 2025 is $234 million. We're going to monitor very closely as to whether or not they'll be in 2025 or 2026. So that will require probably some additional meetings with finance and or Mr. Barthol, Mr. Nicholson, and you, Mr. Chairman. So that's all I have for a finance report. If there's any questions, I'd stand for them.
Commissioner Campbell?
Thank you. Maybe this can be a part of our whole finance package was the WIFIA loan. And has there been any concerns regarding the WIFIA loans and that status? Because I would imagine that that's going to be needing to be implemented fairly soon.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Campbell. I'll defer to Mr. Shockley. He did give a report on the WIFIA loans yesterday. Mr. Shockley.
Thank you, Mr. Chair Grinberg, Commissioner Dardis, Commissioner Campbell. So yesterday over Finance Committee, I informed the Finance Committee board that we are in 2025 preparing to make our first draws on the WIFIA loan. Those draws will be based upon additional milestone payment requests that are submitted by the developer. We anticipate that those will start to occur likely in Q3 and Q4 of 2025. And so we're preparing to go through what I refer to as a draft dry run, because as with any federal loan program, there's an extensive amount of paperwork that has to be due with each request. And so we wanted to be up to date on that. With respect to the loan has already been quote unquote booked at the federal level. As part of the WIFIA process, they actually have to make the appropriation the year the loan is made. And so that analysis is already included as part of the budget, prior budgets. And so the loan is in place. The loan is ready to be drawn upon. The credit subsidy that is provided by the federal government has already been taken into account in their budget process. So happy to answer any questions about the WIFIA process if you'd like.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also refer to the chart that's up right now. Obviously, we've been tracking the sales tax collections in Cass County as well as the city of Fargo. And you can see by the percentage increases that we've been running anywhere from 3 to, one of the reports is quite high, but we do have a 2% build-in for growth. And I think that that's quite conservative, and I think that's where we want to be, is at a conservative number. But one can see that if you take a look at 2024, some of the collections run up to 2 months late. So, the reporting for 2024, January 2025 are not totally complete. But again, any questions that you have on that, we'll be providing that to the board on a regular basis. So we're all tracking as to where we're at.
Does that cover 10A as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Questions? Item 11, other business. I have one item. It's Mr. Shockley's birthday tomorrow, so we're all going to wish him well. I'm not saying happy birthday from the rostrum, but happy birthday, John. Item 12, looking for a motion on a closed executive session pursuant to North Dakota Century Code 44-04-19.2 and North Dakota Century Code 4404-19.1, 2 and 9, for attorney consultation and direction to the general counsel and executive director regarding mediation, and if mediation is not successful, commencing litigation to enforce the terms and conditions of the separation and release agreement between Joel Paulson and the Metro Flood Diversion Authority dated August 21st, 2024. You're looking for a motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion? Need a roll call vote on that, correct? Don, please take the roll.
Mayor Carlson.
Yes.
Mayor Dardis.
Yes?
Mayor Mahoney.
Aye.
Mr. Breitling.
Yes.
Mr. Hendrickson.
Aye.
Mr. Pepcorn.
Aye.
Mr. Emminger.
Yes.
Ms. Kolpak.
Aye.
Mr. Campbell.
Yes.
Mr. Capitan.
Aye.
Mr. Grimberg.
Aye.
Mr. Steen.
Yes.
And Ms. Morgan.
Yes.
We'll stand in recess and come back and adjourn the meeting after executive session. So look for a motion to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.